Good morning. So for today's video, I wanted to do a little different. I wanted to share with you guys some of the things we have learned as we travel around with our kids here in Mexico. I think it applies, these kinds of tips apply to most Mexican cities. Please comment below if you have any other ideas or thoughts, or maybe if there are some cities where this doesn't apply. I would love to know. But these have been, as we've kind of done some research ahead of time traveling. Sometimes we've just done spur of the moment traveling. Kind of seems either way that this has been the best route for us to explore a Mexican city, whether it's large or small. One thing we've learned is that in the center of Mexican cities, most Mexican cities, there's a cathedral or some kind of a Catholic church that has usually been around for many, many years. It's usually beautiful, and the towns are usually built around that central church, which is also either right next to or in the center of the city, or the Zócalo. And so that's usually where we try to go first when we're gonna look up maybe just a little town. I'll give an example. If we're going to Atlisco, which is one of the little pueblitos outside of the city of Puebla, then when we're searching, we write Atlisco Centro or Zócalo, and we would put that into like a Google search, and we would head there first. And we'll try to find some parking. Usually parking, you'll have to just find the big E for estacionamiento, or parking lot. You'll find a big E sign, and typically you pay by the hour, and it's not too expensive. So we just usually circle around, get as close to the center as we can, park our car, grab our stroller, or sometimes the roads are really narrow and it's easier to put baby in the carrier, but we usually have both options, especially if we don't know the city at all, because strollers are nice. You know, you can just throw all the crud underneath in the basket. We have a double stroller, so one of the tired older kids can be in it, so I like to use our stroller. But I've also learned sometimes going up and down sidewalks or really narrow sidewalks where we can't fit, it's often better just to strap baby in my carrier and go. So that's the first tip. Find the Zócalo and find parking as close as you can to the church and the Zócalo. Then let's see, tip number 2 is many times there's some kind of a tour that you can pay for right there in the Zócalo. Sometimes it's on like a trolley bus. In Guadalajara, we took it on a carriage with horses. I've seen kind of the style of more like a motorcycle that pulls a little car. But whatever you choose, and obviously the more private you do like a little carriage ride, it'll usually cost more than doing like maybe a tour bus or a trolley bus. But either way, even in like big cities like Mexico City, I do recommend paying that amount of money, which at first we were kind of cheap and felt like it wasn't worth it, but they show you the big sites around that city. So then later, after maybe that hour tour ride, I would ask how long, because we have gone on ones that are too long for our kids. Like sometimes it's even more than 2 hours of a ride. But typically when it's like 45 minutes to an hour and it's like an open trolley, our kids really enjoy it, and it's usually a really good use of money and time. So after that travel or after the tour, then we can on our own go back to whatever spots have really caught our eye, and sometimes we drive or sometimes we walk. But those tours I actually really, really like, and especially if you really don't have like a game plan of where you're headed on a tour or to explore some kind of Mexican city, those tours have been great. Whenever you're thinking of buying maybe street food or even these tour rides or any kind of, souvenir item that's on the street, if there's no price listed, before you make a decision to buy, definitely ask how much does it cost. And wisest, if I'm in my wisest situation, I would say ahead of time, you should have an idea of about how much you're willing to spend, and if it's more than that, then just say thank you, muy amable, gracias, and then you say pero no gracias, and you walk away. Or else, I feel like that's the only other stress I feel sometimes, is that I will, in the past, we have just said, oh yeah, we want it. And then we say, how much is it? And then they tell us some outrageous price and we feel tied into it. And that feels really uncomfortable and stressful. And honestly, sometimes I get a little upset because I think you're taking advantage of me because my Spanish isn't good and you know I'm not from here. So I felt that emotion sometimes. But on top of that, people will offer to sell you things. And I used to feel stressed, but now I just am very grateful for the hustle of these Mexicans who really try hard to make a living. And if I'm interested, I let them know I am, but I'm also make sure that I have an idea of what I want to spend. So like, let's see, I'm thinking I might buy some potato chips, fresh fried potato chips for my kids. And I'll tell myself, okay, the most I'll spend, I know this is a touristy spot, is 15 pesos or maybe 10 pesos, depending on the size of the bag. And then if I go up and they say, oh, 30 pesos, and I know, okay, I think that's too much and thank you so much, and we'll go find somebody else. And maybe they'll offer me lower down to my 15 peso price, or maybe they won't, which is fine. And then we move on. So that's my other big tip is when you're traveling around Mexico, especially if it's in touristy places, there's a very good chance there's no prices listed. You just want to, you'll know that there's a very good chance someone might get it cheaper than you. But that's just kind of how it works. So you just know what you're willing to spend and spend that or don't spend it. So now I'm going to show you some amazing drone footage that Justin and Constance just took from our center of Puebla, and you'll get to see some of the Zócalo, and you'll get to see the beautiful cathedral, the main central cathedral for the city of Puebla. And that's definitely a spot when you come to visit that I recommend going to. If you like the info and if you like this channel, please subscribe, like, share, comment below with things you want to see, with information, with tips, with ideas, with critiques. I'm open to everything. And check out this amazing drone footage.